Good morning for everyone. And now I'm gonna tell you a story about how to improve your speaking skill, and this method is the best language learning method ever. So let's get started. There is a young man named Anwar. Anwar is sad because he has a problem. He cannot speak English. He wants to speak English naturally because he likes to travel and make new friends. That's why he decided to take a language class. First, Anwar goes to a traditional language class. The teacher writes the present simple on the board and begins to explain grammar rules. Then the teacher tells the students to do grammar exercises. Anwar doesn't like this class because he cannot understand the rules. He says, I don't want to learn rules. I just want to speak English naturally. Then Anwar goes to another class. The teacher divides the students into small groups and tells them to practice dialogues from their textbooks. They all begin repeating lines from their textbooks like little parrots. They repeat greetings such as hello, how are you, I'm fine, thank you. And Anwar doesn't like this class because it's simply boring. He says, I don't want to repeat the dialogues. I just want to speak English naturally. Finally, Leo goes to a TPRS storytelling class. This class is different from other classes. First, the teacher writes some words, phrases on the board such as get lost, stuck, or piece of, pig out, need, with their translations, and then they do silly gestures to remember the words. The teacher repeats the words and the students repeat the gestures many times and laugh because the gestures are funny. Second, the teacher begins asking interesting and repetitive questions because he wants to create a story with his class by using new words. They create a story about one of students in class. Her name is Lola. In the story, Lola is the most beautiful woman in Uzbekistan, and many men want to marry her. 3 famous men come to her one by one, but they all fail. They cannot marry her. In the end, a handsome man marries Lola. The story is so easy to understand and interesting that Anwar temporarily forgets in English. Third, they read the extended reading of the story about Lola. This time the teacher asks fewer questions and they talked about verb endings such as ing and ed and what they mean. They do this to learn grammar without rules. Real simply loves class because everything is understandable and super interesting. Is very happy because he finally begins to speak English naturally. That was a simple story from a TPRS storytelling class. Now let's talk about our TPRS storytelling teaching proficiency through reading and storytelling, or GPRS. TPR storytelling is probably the best method of teaching foreign languages out there. It simply works while all grammar rules teaching methods. TPR lessons use reading and storytelling to help students learn a foreign language. The method works in 3 steps. In step 1, the teacher teaches the new vocabulary to the students how by using translations, gestures, and personalized questions, also known as PQR doing. Your teacher finds out interesting facts about students and then use them to create a story, which leads to step 2. In step 2, the structures and facts are used in a spoken class story, and the teacher asks lots of questions while creating a story with the class. And this questioning, called circling, the teacher uses 3 locations to repeat the target phrases 50 to 100 times. The teacher also uses actors to make the class more interesting and memorable. And finally, in step 3, the same structures are used in a class reading. The whole class translates the text together, and while translating, the teacher explains grammar in 5 seconds, which is pop-up grammar. Then they have a discussion about the reading. The teacher may use PQA about the students more and use targets phrases. In type R, storytelling fluency is more important. Grammatical accuracy based on a second language acquisition theories of Stefan Krashen. Type R storytelling fans believe that the best way to help students develop both fluency and accuracy in languages is to provide them with large amounts of comprehensible input. In other words, they believe that students need to hear and see the target language thousands of times before they begin to speak the language. If you would like to know about how to use type R storytelling, I'm here to help you. So if you are not a type R teacher, I strongly recommend that you at least research this method. From my own experience, I can say that triangle method once can become an entire teaching career. So please research it and try it. If you are type R teacher, I just want to thank you for making this world a priceless to live a bridging the gap among the nations. So that was a story about how to improve your speaking skills. So thank you for your attention.